So what we like to highlight is that this Noble Eightfold Path is not just theory or text for our study. It's a practical instruction, yeah, to reach the end of suffering. Then next one, yeah. So we can understand that within the Four Noble Truths is found the guide to the end of suffering, which is the Noble Eightfold Path. Yeah? And within this Four Noble Truths also is found this Noble Eightfold Path to liberation. So it's not just a path that it shows, but a path that leads to liberation. And in the Noble Eightfold Path, again, it will come back to understanding the Four Noble Truths. Yeah? And this is called right view. So it's in this package, yeah, that the whole teaching of the Buddha for 45 years, yeah, will come back to this teaching of Noble Eightfold Path. It can be in different ways that the Buddha explained, or different words or to different people, but always according to the stage of their development and capacity to understand and follow him. Yeah. So the Buddha will explain to different people in different terms, but it will come back pointing to the Noble Eightfold Path. Now, again and again, we see this formula. Yeah, you still remember the first time when we have the the pre-session, and all of you can remember this formula, where we see important is the word right there, right view. Yeah, not any view. We can have any opinion, any view, but it may not be right view. And when we talk about right view, we talk about the Noble Eightfold Path. We talk about the Four Noble Truths. We talk about the 12 links, yeah, the dependent origination. We also talk about karma, yeah, cause and effect, yeah, and the condition, yeah. And from there, I'd like to bring you all again, yeah, from right view. There's always question, yeah. Are these factors simultaneous or conditioned? Right? So we need to look back. I have stressed in the last 3 sessions, I keep talking about a right view, yeah, because if you look at some articles or whatever, they always sometimes say it has to be cultivated simultaneously, yeah. But if you look at those sutta like Samaditi Sutta, Bija Sutta, Kosambi Sutta, yeah, we can see that the Buddha stressed again, what is the first? Right view, yeah. So because of that right view, then it will condition the next thing, that is right thought, or right intention. So without right view, the rest of the things that we may do, yeah, may not fall into right view, yeah. It can be wrong view. But here again, we like to stress right view and wrong view, not because your opinion or my opinion or tradition or culture, but what is right view is that which will lead to liberation, yeah, this lead to well-being and liberation. What is wrong view is the one that doesn't lead to liberation, meaning it will lead you to suffering. So it's not about my view or your view, but the view that helps to lead to end of suffering. Yeah, and this is where we call it right view. Yeah. So this view is to be developed gradually. Yeah, is from right view. Maybe we have a little bit of right view about, let's say, the understanding of suffering. Therefore, you are in search of a way to be out of suffering. And from there, then you learn about how to do it. Yeah. For example, I say last time, very angry. Then you know that you suffer and people also suffer. And then from there, you want to find a way to reduce your suffering. And you find, to reduce suffering, then we have to learn to have metta or forgiveness. Yeah. And then from there, then you practice. And then you become more gentle, not so angry. And because of the changes in you, then you are able to reduce your own suffering and also the suffering of others, yeah, that come by in your life. And that is how this path, yeah, is being practiced. Yeah. So if it's because of that right view, that you know that you're suffering, you want to overcome your suffering, and therefore you make that search, yeah, to find a way to reduce your suffering. So that is already a beginning of your right view, that because of that, then of course, it conditions your right thought, right? So how the right thought comes about? We said a right thought is a thought of renunciation of sensual pleasure. Sometimes because when we are attached to something, pleasure or something, then we create what we call, you become upset or angry over something. And with right thought, then you have the thought of kindness, yeah, metta. And with right thought, non-cruelty. So because of that, then you help yourself actually to overcome this negative defilements in the mind. And because you reduce it, then of course you find more comfort. Yeah? And when you find that, then of course you have less complaint to others. Then others also have more peace of mind. So you can see the link, yeah, from because of the right view, you understand more to the suffering. You want to reduce your suffering, and you find a way to reduce your suffering, and you practice and you reduce your suffering. So that is already the path that you are actually starting your journey, but it comes from your right view. Yeah. So, so this is how we straighten our view, right? So in a nutshell, we can see the Noble Eightfold Path. First, we take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. We must have confidence in this. Yeah. So the Buddha said, without the confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, the training to liberation won't happen too. Yeah, because you don't have an icon, or a real path or real person that you see that have actually gone through this path and actually attain that state, what to be attained. So confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha is very important. So therefore, like in practice every morning, as a Buddhist, we normally wake up by taking refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha to remind us the Buddha, his quality, the enlightened one, our great teacher, and also he's noble of the world. You know, he has the perfect conduct and self-enlightened, so that can inspire our also diligence, in practice. So the confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha is also an indicator of how we can actually develop our mind. If we lack of confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, or we have doubt, we are not able to move on this path, right? So this is also a very important part. And how do we gain this confidence? Of course, by practice, After you practice, then you say, oh, this Buddha's teaching, the Dhamma, is so true. And this Dhamma is not because the Buddha created, but it's the truth. When it's the truth, then when we practice, then of course we arrive at the truth. And they are able to lead us to that kind of good state of the mind. And from there, then of course the well-being is taken care of too. And of course the Sangha too, the practicing Sangha. And so this is where they represent the teaching, to come down until today, that we are able to have inspiration and learning from there. So this is important, confident in the triple jump. Number two, the Buddha say is the training. So we talk about the threefold training. And so the training, of course, as a layperson, just now you all also discussed, they talk about 5 precepts is a basic. And then 8 precepts is encouraged. And so most of the Buddhists, we encourage it, at least new moon, full moon, try to practice 8 precepts. Or 1 week once, you choose a day to practice your 8 precepts. Why is it so important? What is the difference between the training of the precepts, 5 and 8? 5, as a layperson, of course, you still watch TV, all those things, entertainment, all this will come in. But if you're not careful, of course, you'll be carried away. A lot of time spent. We can observe the 5 precepts, and then but still enjoy sensual pleasure. But a lot of time we may actually drift away or waste our time, in entertainment, sensual pleasure, and that can be a danger. But 8 precepts help us to come to the right thought already. Why? Because renounce sensual pleasure. Why it's good to renounce sensual pleasure? Because when we chase after sensual pleasure, I think we can see that how much time we spend for it, right? For example, just now Sister Young said, when she practiced as a even temporary seminary, that life, when they observe that, let's say 10 precepts, you're free from all the lay involvement, yeah? And so life is made simple. One day only 2 meals, so you have more time. You skip already 1 meal, so more time, right? Than 1 hour cooking, what they call eating, washing, yeah. So you already have that, and what it tells us that actually we can survive with that too. And indeed, in the modern time, 16-hour fasting is always a good practice, yeah. Even the doctor actually says so, yeah. And then you also have time spent for more good things to learn, to practice, and to straighten our mind, straighten our view. So we don't spend too much time on bodily beauty, trying to camouflage ourselves with garlands, perfumes, and everything. Yeah, and so a lot of time is saved, in that kind of life. And your goal is very clear: to purify your mind further. Yeah, and so that more and more knowledge, wisdom, direct knowledge will come to you. So there are differences, yeah, even by looking at the precepts. So of course, some people will ask, the monk only observe 227, the nun observe 311, Bhikkhuni. Is it the nun are better? This for Bhikkhuni or Bhikkhu ordination precepts or the Patimokkha that they practice, both have a sets of guidelines and precepts, yeah. So some are very minor, some are same, like Sakya rules, manners, how do we have to have the manners, which also curb greed, hatred, delusion. And also some of this precept is to help us to establish our mindfulness, don't go out of the boundary. So as we have these precepts, yeah, so you can understand that how this path is being guarded, yeah, so that they focus more on how they should refine their conduct. Yeah, so it's not like being controlled. Wow, so many rules and very difficult. No, a lot of people think, but the thing is actually to refine the mind, because yeah, and this is where this higher, we call it higher training, higher sila, higher morality and higher mind after that, because it refines you, yeah, help you to guide you not to do all the unnecessary that may break your concentration, your mindfulness, so that you stay intact on the path. So the rest, of course, we have the 4 Brahma Vihara practice. There is we call metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha, yeah, the practice of loving kindness. Then karuna is compassion. Mudita is altruistic joy. When people are happy, we are happy. When people are successful, we are also rejoicing with them. And then upekkha, of course, is a practice where you need to learn more deeper into the mind state, where the mind become equanimous and non-grasping. Yeah. Then the next one is a 4 foundation of mindfulness. Yeah. So these are practices that leads to enlightenment. And from 4 foundation of mindfulness, we have 7 factors of enlightenment. And in that, there are methods of practice, how to develop the mind. So one of the famous one we know is anapanasati. Yeah? Anapanasati, and also it can lead to the jhanas. It can lead to fulfillment of the 4 foundation of mindfulness, which is mindfulness of the body, feeling, mind, and the Dhamma. Yeah. And through this process and practices, then it goes to culminate, yeah, into insight. Yeah, the 6 insight, knowledge of wisdom. So this insight, in our modern term, we say it's like psychic power, but to the time of the Buddha, These are the direct seeing, yeah, things the way it is. And it actually helped to develop true knowledge, yeah, the mind knowledge, yeah, for example, the Buddha have the knowledge of mastery of the body, yeah. For us, it's mastery of the body only. We know that when we're hungry, we need to eat, right? But the Buddha mastery of the body means they can actually, using the mind, they can actually make the body become 1 or 100 or 1,000. Means they can make the body, yeah, because it's the mastery, yeah, of the body knowledge. And then also the knowledge of seeing their own past life, the knowledge of seeing how being die and how they arise in another born. I mean, they birth, another rebirth. Which realm they are going, what karma they have done that actually make them to reborn in a different realm, and how that cycle go on and on, yeah. And also the knowledge of telepathy. They also have the knowledge, that skill, yeah, that they can read people's mind. They know your mind stream, yeah. They know the content of your mind, yeah. And also, of course, the knowledge, the most important one, that overcome all defilement, and that's where we say enlightenment is attained, yeah. So these are knowledge that can be learned and practiced, and it's from the Noble Eightfold Path. It will culminate in knowledge, insight, or wisdom. Okay, and from this right knowledge, then they were able to end the asava and craving, and that's where we say they end deathless, and they become deathless, no birth, no death anymore. Yeah, and that's how they are free. Yeah, so one is free, and in English, some translate as freedom, some liberation, some we say final attainment or nibbana, right? So you can see that we talk about the Noble Eightfold Path, but deep down there are so many aspects, yeah, that can be cultivated. So the 8 factors is also promotes and perfect 3 essential Buddhist training and discipline. So when we say threefold training, yeah, it comes to your mind. These 3: ethical conduct, there's sila, which constitutes speech, bodily action, livelihood. Mental discipline, yeah, which is samadhi, which is right effort, mindfulness, concentration. And third is wisdom, panya. Panya normally is translated as a view or thought, yeah. But here we can see that wisdom actually is the culmination of insight, knowledge, yeah. But it will of course go round and round again to straighten your right view, right? Now, if you talk about ethical conduct, we also talk about the division. Just some of you also have touched on. Yeah, there are mental conduct, there are physical conduct, and verbal conduct. Yeah. So, what are the wholesome mental conduct? Right view, non-ill view, non-covetousness. Unwholesome mental conduct is wrong view, ill view, covetousness. So now again, you see the word, wholesome one is right view, right? So you always touch about this, yeah. Next one, we talk about verbal conduct, then it involves your right speech, yeah. So right speech, what are they? Like in our daily practice, we say from telling lies, from backbiting, slander, and you know, and from also those disharmonious speech. And so from here we can see the, you know, those words that represent, yeah, especially from backbiting, slander, talk that may bring about hatred, enmity, disunity, and disharmony among individuals or groups of people. Third is from harsh, rude, impolite, malicious, and abusive language. Fourth, from idle, useless, and foolish babble and gossip. So all of us know about this, yeah. But when in our daily life, when it happens, what do we do, yeah? And sometimes it comes out so fast because without training, it becomes a habitual pattern, yeah. And so this is where we have to be aware, be mindful. So when they talk about verbal conduct, the one is to abstain, yeah. So means abstain from telling lies. For example, the day one brother shared with me that when somebody asked him, because he has gone to overseas, somebody asked him, whether he has Malaysian money, but a stranger, and so he has, but he was taken aback because the money was packed, let's say, in an envelope together and big notes, and immediately he said, no. He asked his father to whether he has or not. Yeah, but after that he reflect, why did I answer no when I had? Yeah, so most of the time, because of security or safety, we might think of the way we answer. Sometimes we find that after that we feel a bit like, hey, how come I didn't practice not to tell lie? Yeah, but actually for safety reason. But we can also use other way. Instead of saying no, we can ask maybe other question like, oh, why you want to see, let's say, a Malaysian note? Or maybe you can propose to them, instead of answering them whether you have or don't have, you can answer them, oh, well, would you want to go to, let's say, the money changer, yeah, to have a look? Yeah. So there are answers that we can make. And if we can't, we can just remain silent. Yeah. So these are some of the way of how we can be more conscious and mindful about the speech that we are telling. Yeah. So sometimes we say, or some people say, oh, Ayya, can we tell a white lie? Yeah. So the name is white lie, so still a lie, right? But we said the word that we have to speak, yeah, should be timely and at the right place too. Yeah. And so a lie is still a lie, but then we can find ways and means not to lie, right? And so that we don't feel a bit like remorse, yeah. Sometimes it's unintentionally, but it can happen. So in verbal conduct, all these things, you see, is very clear, like harsh, rude, impolite speech. Sometimes we may say words that, what they call, because it's so used, habit. Sometimes we say to young children or whatever, like useless, or sometimes stupid. Yeah, very common, yeah. And people say all these words, like sometimes they also use the word of called bullshit. So all these are very unfriendly, harsh words, yeah. And it actually have psychological harm, to another person. And sometimes people ruminate on this word, and they become what they call, they feel a bit inferior, not being appreciated. So it is important not to use such kind of word, because it's under harsh word, abusive language. So we also need to be aware, because it's so commonly spoken, yeah, used. So we should not adopt such kind of language. Then also idle talk. Idle talk is that, nothing to talk. We rather remain noble silence, yeah, rather than just babble around and talk. So we can conserve our energy, and at the same time we can actually practice a good, right speech. Whenever needed, then only we speak. So from telling lie, of course, we speak truthfully. From backbiting or slander that cause disharmony, we always give friendly and benevolent speech. And from harsh, rude speech or impolite speech or abusive speech, we speak pleasantly and gently. And from idle, useless babble or gossip, then we speak meaningfully and useful. Yeah, means beneficial. When we open our mouth, we benefit somebody else. Yeah. So one should not speak carelessly. Speech should be at the right time and place. So if one cannot say something good, so then practice noble silence. All right. So these are not that difficult, but can be practiced. Then next one is right action, bodily conduct. So we all know 5 precepts you already practice. 8 precepts also you are practicing. 10 precepts also you are practicing this, yeah. So these are the commonly practiced, because why? it safeguards your journey in life too. Yeah, by abstaining from destroying life, we prolong life, our life, and the life of others. By not taking things not given, we safeguard property. Yeah, so our property also are guarded from sexual misconduct. Then we are faithful, and therefore in our family life, there's a tendency that everybody are caring and loving each other, and less what they call separation. Yeah, and so when we are able to do this in our daily life, then it helps us, yeah, in also the good result of our practice, which we can actually experience it here and now in this very life. Yeah, so it's just like when people practice in accordance, even the basic 5 precepts. Nevertheless, we know that this is a very foundational principle in life, that because no one actually wish to be killed. So with that in mind, we also do not take others' life. Right? Now the next one, of course, is right livelihood. So if we are working, then we have to be aware what type of trade that we are doing. Yeah. So if we wish for a comfortable body, no pain, or less pain, and more health, good health, then the Buddha also advises the trade or the work that we are involved should not be involved in weapons or arms or intoxicating drinks, because when we are selling all these things, we know that one is harming the body, two is harming the mind, make the mind drowsy, unclear. Then poisons also kill. Then killing animals, slaughterhouse, slavery, trade of human. So this kind of profession should not be done. And so one should actually seek for a profession that is honorable, blameless, and innocent of harm. Yeah. So this also protects us from leading a life that actually will cause the effect that will not be good for oneself or family members or others. Right? So then next one, we can see that these three, yeah, right speech, right action, right livelihood, they constitute the ethical conduct. And so this is to promote a happy and harmonious life, both for individual and for society. So it is indispensable foundation for all higher spiritual attainments. No spiritual development is possible without this moral basis. Next one is more on the mental conduct, but the development of mental power or discipline. Yeah? We said right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. This is where that in Buddhist practice, a lot of us are still lacking. Yeah, because we only take 3 refuges and 5 precepts, and some may embark on this, and some yet to embark. But this is a very important side when we talk about the mental development. Yeah? How can we have right view, non-ill will, and non-covetousness? And this a lot need to do with right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. So right effort, we know there are 4, yeah? And so in our daily life, yeah, so whenever the mental state comes, yeah, if there's an evil, unwholesome state, if not arising yet, we prevent from arising. When there's unwholesome states that have a reason, then we get rid of them or abandon them. Yeah, 3, when there's a wholesome state which has not arisen, then we must make effort to bring up. Yeah, and 4th, when we have already wholesome states of mind, we must continue to maintain and perfect them. So if you look at this, you may think it's like, oh, so difficult, but it's not as difficult. For example, let's say number 3, I always tell our devotee to produce the cause to arise good and wholesome state of mind, not yet a reason. So like, let's say if our mind is always like grumpy, a lot of complaint, so what we can do is Just very simple. You just can actually practice only one simple word. Every time people do something for you, you just say thank you to them. Yeah, be appreciated. Just say thank you to them. And you'll find that will change your mental state. Yeah. And these are good things. Yeah, wholesome things, a wholesome state. And even the Buddha mentioned in one of the sutta, if you meet a virtuous people, a person, yeah, and by even seeing a virtuous person, the mind becomes delightful. When the mind becomes delightful, the Buddha said, at that moment, at that occasion, you are already practicing a path leading to heaven. Yeah. So you can imagine, you know, it's not very difficult actually. You just have to make effort to do it. Yeah. I'm just giving you a simple example because they are a lot more deeper than this. But for today's discussion or just intro, you get some idea about it. Yeah. Next one, we talk about right mindfulness. Yeah. So right mindfulness, we know that in the mindfulness practice, we talk about mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of feeling, and then the activities of the mind, and then Dhamma, yeah, the aspects of mind object, yeah, which is explained in the Satipatthana Sutta, and you know that how many pages are there, and so it's good, yeah, to do some reading about that. So one of the key one that I like to highlight is, of course, is very well stressed in the sutta. That is the practice of concentration on breathing. Yeah. So this is mindfulness on breathing. Anapanasati is one of the well-known exercise, yeah, connected for mental development. So in this particular practice, even for the body, there are 14 ways of developing attentiveness in relation to the body as modes of meditation. Yeah? So there are a lot, yeah, and some summarize it as about 40 objects of meditation. And it helps to overcome different types of defilement of the mind. Yeah. So this is where we can learn to overcome those challenges of the mind. So for feelings, and so there are 3 types that we need to be aware of, whether it's a pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, or neutral feeling. Yeah, how they appear and how they disappear. Then for the mind, there we need to know or mindful of if there's any lustful mind or not, or hateful mind, or deluded mind, or concentrated mind, or scattered mind. So this again need training and cultivation. And the last part of it is, of course, on the how the thoughts and all this mental object comes about, and how we can escape from that, or suppress them, or overcome them, and after that to totally destroy them. Yeah? So the whole foundation of mindfulness, like I said, is actually you can find clearly defined in Satipatthana Sutta, and from that practices, the Buddha said you'll bring the insight of, yeah, understanding that this body that we think that as I, my mind, is merely an illusion. Yeah, and what in reality is basically they are all impermanent, and they are non-self. So for right concentration, of course, the Buddha mentioned about the jhanic state, and this jhanic state is a state where a person experienced by training of the mind, or the purification of mind, a person will be able to experience, yeah, the true happiness coming within their mind. Yeah, and this is only be able to happen when a person's we call it hindrances, yeah, in mind has been subsided. So what are they? Sensual lust, ill will, sloth and torpor, worry, restlessness, and also skeptical doubt. So when it's discarded, then joy will arise. and happiness. And more refined, you will experience bliss, and then the total full equanimity in mind. So this again is the part where we can see this transformation of the mind. And so the happiness and the joy and the bliss and the equanimity can be experienced in this very practice in our Noble Eightfold Path. So this is how the mind is trained and disciplined and developed through right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Now, we said the last part is Panya, the threefold training. And so if you talk about right thought, the thought of selfless renunciation or detachment from sensual desire, then thoughts of love and thoughts of non-violence. So this is on the thought basis, and this thought will lead you to right speech and right bodily action. And again, you go into a cycle, the right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration, and that will culminate in right knowledge. And from there, your view is straightened again, and that's how it goes round and round until finally you attain liberation. So this selfless detachment and non-violence is grouped under wisdom, under right view, right thought, because right view will condition right thought. Now, we have also highlighted the other day that we know that right view is the understanding of things as they are. And it's the Four Noble Truths that explain and penetrate truth as they really are. So seeing things the way it is, and or seeing the phenomena as the way it is. Because when you see things, we say things, you see something solid, but these are all more to the phenomena. And so knowledge, we know there are two types. One is more on the intellectual level, but the other one is actually seeing things the way they are. Okay. When the mind is free from impurities, meaning free from the five hindrances, then it can be developed. As long as we are caught in the five hindrances, the mind does not develop. Right? So, Noble Eightfold Path is actually a way of life. Each one can actually develop it. We need the discipline in body, in word, and in mind, and is actually self-cultivated and self-purified. So we need to purify oneself. So that's why the Buddha said, not to do any evil, to cultivate good, purify one's mind. So it's our mind that we need to purify. Most of the time we are very busy body to want to purify somebody's eye, to ask them to do this and that, and we think that is good. But when come to our mind, we don't have time for our own mind to develop. So it is important to purify one's mind, and so that by having a good state of mind, by the ability to maintain our mindfulness, indeed we are helping ourselves. Not only that, we are already helping others, because why? We don't create any problem to anyone anymore, right? Because we take care of the mind well, and because of that, we can benefit more people. So lastly, here I would like to conclude on the Noble Eightfold Path. Buddha also mentioned in MN 140, may we not neglect wisdom, may we persevere in truth, may we foster beneficence, may we train in peace. All right, so thank you all very much. And I'd like to open this for more question and answer, so that we can actually, get into more deeper understanding of this Noble Eightfold Path. Right? Each of the path has its very important, essential cultivation, and on daily basis, it can be done. All right, so that's the sharing for today's lesson. and discussion, but now we are open for question and answer. So
Ayya, I think got one question is from Sister Easy, is it?
yeah.
It's in the chat. When verbal misconduct cannot be undone, how to form the mental state with not cheating the form of state of teens, and what ruminate, something like stupid, etc., etc. How to teach the teens to let go as receiving party?
Okay, versus how to form the mental state. We, what do you mean by the we?
Yeah, like for instance, the teens, they are not in our state of our learning so deep in terms of cultivation. Of course, they may easily being abusive by, so to speak, either their peers, their parents, or the external factors. So in that form of their states, when they receive all these harsh words, so how to teach the teens to let go as a receiving party, because their mental states are not matured as people who are cultivating, like us as beginners.
All right, I think a good example that we can, give them sometimes. Of course, we first have to sympathize with them, because sometimes, suddenly they receive a very harsh word, and that actually hurt. That is hurting, yeah. And so I think for teens, sometimes sympathy is one way to let them know that we feel for them. But after that, we can actually also share with them, in life, sometimes we get blamed, sometimes we get some harsh treatment from others. But what can we do to protect ourselves or not to fall into a negative state? Is when, for example, the Buddha, even an enlightened being, yeah, when the Buddha go for Pindapata and all those things, you also get abusive words, yeah, from Brahmins and all those, because they were quite angry with Buddha, because some of their children, yeah, because they're from rich family, and they renounce and they leave home. And so sometimes even when Buddha went for Pindapata, some Brahmins are quite harsh. And one incident also, this Brahmin, when the Buddha went stand for the what he call Pindapata, he keeps scolding the Buddha. Yeah, but the Buddha just stand there, and he keeps calling, finish. And the Buddha just asked the Brahmin. I said, Brahmin, just like to ask you one question. He said, yeah, what question? I said, if a person wish to give a gift to somebody else, and that somebody else do not want to accept that gift, what happened to that gift? So then the Brahmin answered, he said, I take back. Yeah. So then the Buddha tell the Brahmin, just now whatever you have said, yeah, I do not accept. Yeah. And so what it means, you take that lie. I mean, you no need to say that lie, It's just now whatever you say, I didn't accept. Yeah. So then the Brahmin also got, okay. Then he has to take back all their word. Yeah. And this is one way to also share with them, even the Buddha as enlightened being. Sometimes he also receive abusive word, but you don't have to take in. Yeah. So this is one example. Second example, even my own experience, some as a branch manager. Sometimes I do help because we are retailer. Sometimes when business is good, my cashier, they don't have enough people to help. So sometimes we also go down and just help wrap things, when I was an admin manager. So just help quickly wrap and then give to the customer. So one day this customer, I don't know what mood is in, after packing, and then we click the receipt and I push it to him. And he told me, give me the receipt. So I was thinking the receipt is already clipped on the, plastic bag. And I said, sir, receipt is there. Then again, he said, give me that receipt. I said, sir, the receipt is there. And then you know what? Third time he looked at me, he straight, he said, stupid, like that, no? Yeah, I look at him, why is he scolding stupid? No, I don't understand why he said like that. But I just tell him, you know, sir, the receipt is here. Thank you very much. That's all I said. And then again, he looked at me like want to eat me up like that, no? So, but I just remain calm and I mean, pity him, no? We don't know what state of mind he's going through. But I don't have to ruminate the word stupid in my mind, you see. But a lot of people will ruminate that word in the mind. So we have to tell them, learn, because we when people say something, like Ajahn Brahm always say, you know, if people scold you, you're a dog like that, I say you go and turn to the back and look whether you have a tail or not. If you don't have a tail, then you know you're not a dog. So it's okay. You know, what they want to say is up to them, but they have to take back, you see. But for us, we just know that, okay, we have done nothing wrong. We have not offended anybody. If the person want to use a harsh word or whatever word, they take back, but we can maintain silence. But the key thing is don't ruminate in the mind, because when you ruminate, then that hurts more, not because that person scolded you. You only say one time, but you have been scolding yourself for many, many times. Even like whatever word lah. Sometimes people scolded like useless. Then the person ruminate, you know, I'm useless, I'm useless, I'm useless. Then become very down, they become very upset, very inferior. Yeah. So we have to explain to them. The key thing is not the person only say one time, but we are the one that actually, what they call, scolded ourselves for so many times. So indeed, we are not very wise. So we have to be wise by not ruminating the negative words that come to us. Yeah. So we just have to establish again the well-being of our mind by forgiving them and then restore our mindfulness, because we do not want to take those words, and because those words are hurting, why should we hurt ourselves by taking in that word and ruminate over that word? All right. So there are a few things that we can share with them how they can overcome. Yeah. And so if, let's say it's a friend that always do that to them, then we have to advise them not to mix with them or mix with the right associate. Nowadays, people come up with many, many kinds of very unwholesome words.
Yes,
and they
in the
just say
school.
each other.
Yeah, correct,
Yeah.
correct.
So avoid those people. All right. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other question on the Noble Eightfold Path? I believe you all also know that it helps, yeah, once you keep that practice, and how it helps our life, and how it can also help our loved ones and the people that come by into our life. So they too are inspired, and to see that the way of this life, the path is a living life, yeah, it's a living path. It is not a text or a belief system. Yeah?
Hello, good afternoon. Ariya, I just want to ask you, for the Eightfold Path, we have to start from the Sila and then Samadhi and then Panya. Is it the way?
You see the threefold training, we say Sila, Samadhi, Panya, right? But then I also highlight to you all, the Buddha always said, right view come first. Right?
Yes, I heard that. So
okay. How? So you see, why right view come first? Because you see, right view, what are right view? Four Noble Truths, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Four Noble Truths start with what? There is suffering.
Cause of suffering.
Do you experience dukkha?
Of course, yes.
So when I experience dukkha, I believe you will find ways to overcome your dukkha, right? That is right view. Then only you go and learn the Dhamma. Then you hear, oh, the Buddha said, okay, if you don't want, let's say if we don't want short life, then what should we practice? Abstain from killing. Yeah. And if we want better than that, what should we do? Save life. Right? And if we do not wish, let's say, our property to be lost, then what should we do? Abstain from taking things not given. Then if you want more well-being or wealth, what should we do? Do dana. Yeah. So there's different ways, see? And so that's why from our suffering, then we think of ways to overcome our suffering. And that's how we start the Noble Eightfold Path. But how does this sila come about? It's because we have that right view. Yeah, may not be fully yet, but we have some glimpse of it that, you know, we suffer and we want to overcome the suffering. And how to go about it, then we can start to practice the sila. Yeah, and because of that right thought, yeah, right thought is what? Right thought is, you know, we are actually learning, yeah, the thought to renounce our sensual pleasure. Because a lot of time we get into trouble because of our sensual desire. Yeah, and then we quarrel over it, right? Even holiday, people also quarrel. Supposed to be relaxed and having fun, but they also quarrel. Yeah, because why? Sometimes sensual pleasure. I want to go here, you don't want to go. Right? You want to go there. I want to watch this, you don't want to watch this. You want to watch something else. It's about sensual desire, sensual pleasure. Yeah, and then they quarrel. Right? And then the next one is because of that view, right view. Then you will have, you know that you already suffer. What? So want to suffer more, not better not, because you get angry, you quarrel, then of course you suffer more. So you have that thought of loving kindness, be kind, yeah, and also not to cause any difficulty to others, yeah. So those are the thoughts that will start to come, and because of that, your speech will be different. You know, it conditions your speech, yeah. So we said, let's say sila, speech, bodily action. Because of that thought, then instead of, you know, you are very impatient, you will say words that of impatient, but then you're more patient. Then the words that come up from the mouth is more articulate, more pleasant to listen to. You know, sometimes when you speak to somebody else, that person get angry. But when you use written phrase to speak to them, then they are more malleable, they are more accepting. So why is it so? It's the way you present it. And why is it so? Because if your mind is not in the right thought, you tend to speak with wrong thought. Yeah, and when you speak wrong thought, of course, wrong action will come out. Yeah, so that kind of things will condition another, and so we have to understand. In this way, actually, it is right view that comes first. Without that right view, you know, if you have not suffered enough, you won't want to find what they call sometimes the way to overcome the suffering. But if you have, then you are wise enough to want to find ways and means and practice the way to overcome it. Yeah. So your question is whether sila comes first or not. Yeah. Although in this manner, they say that sila, samadhi, panya, right? So sila is the basis of the practice. Means from right view, you understand that. Then the Buddha said, how do you reduce your suffering? Is to reduce or eradicate the cause of the suffering. What is the cause of suffering? The cause of suffering is craving for sensual pleasure. So you reduce your sensual pleasure, then you reduce your suffering. Yeah. The other one, craving for existence. So craving for existence is because of the ignorance. We always think, or you know, the conceit of I is very strong in us. We always think we are right, yeah, and we want to become like this, become like that, yeah. And because of that, again, we encounter suffering. When you reduce that, more selfless, then you'll find that suffering also reduces, yeah. So these are all interconnected, yeah. And so when we practice this sila, samadhi, sila, then those speech will lead to your action and your way of life. Yeah, so now let's say you're a Buddhist. I believe some of you now you start to understand why simplicity in life is so nice. Correct or not? Simple. Yeah. Even now you wear your clothes also, you don't have to think so much. Yeah, and you're so contented with your clothes. That few is enough. Yeah, last time maybe every time you go to what they call department store, your eyes will catch on something and you buy and then you bring back and then it just fill up your cupboard, but then you know you're not using it. Now you become very contented already. You know, and contented you go, you see, seeing is seeing only. You appreciate it's nice, but it doesn't mean have to belong to you. Yeah. In the past, we say conceit of I. or covetousness. Every time you see something, your mind, wrong view will say, let it be mine. And then you start to move towards the item, you start to touch, you start to say, oh, I think this should be mine. And then, okay, you take the counter and you buy. Yeah. So you see how the mind, the process of driving you to actually commit into I, my, mine. But then, it's an illusion. And now you already learn, you already practice, and your mind become very contented. Just seeing, you can appreciate, it's nice, but it doesn't mean have to belong to me. Yeah, after seeing, arising, then pass, finish story. Yeah, so life is made easy. So the mind don't keep thinking about the sensual pleasure. Some they see, if they have craving, they don't buy, they go back. They keep thinking about the item one, and after that they will go back and buy and commit that I, my mind again. Yeah. So these are strong craving, So you see the craving and the I, they are all together one. Like I want this, I like this. Yeah. So if our mind keep having this conversation, then the craving is very strong. The I-ness is also very strong. But nowadays, if you don't have that, it's okay lah. Have it also okay. Don't have it also okay. And you know that you don't really need it. Yeah. And also now you see that what is important, like the Buddha said, is the four requisites. Your food, clothing, not so much, enough. Then your shelter, moderately enough, because too big, then you become a maid, because you have to clean a lot. But sufficient, yeah, with that space, you're also contented. And then if we are sick, then we have medicine to help us. I think life is actually very simple and not that difficult. But because of craving, because of the illusion of I, my mind, that's why we make our life so complicated and difficult, yeah, and more suffering, right? So with this, I think we transform our life.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Sadhu, sadhu, Ariya. Thank you.
Ayya, actually now it's already 4 p.m. but we still have one question.
Right.
In the chat, last question. Okay, this question is posed by Sister Kai. So,
why drive the misconduct of Dalai Lama in recent event of kissing and asking a young boy to suck his thumb? Recently, somebody also shared with me. So I think importantly, so as we know that as a renunciant, and especially the Buddha prescribed, those bhikkhu rules and bhikkhuni rules, So all these rules, they have meaning, and we call it discipline, Vinaya. Vinaya means to lead away from defilements. So as a practitioner, that's why the Buddha actually this rules that is prescribed to protect the bhikkhu or bhikkhuni from behavior that may bring about misunderstanding, or that can commit certain higher defilement of the mind. So now you see there are traditions and culture that comes into Buddhism. But as let's say a bhikkhu, the meaning of a bhikkhu, let's say for example, is one who is living dependent on alms. And there are actions that they practice, like for example, we call it pradajika. Pradajika is a rules, that if a monk commit, let's say sex, and the other one is stealing, or another one is boasting about his practice, or advising others, about taking life. So these are, we call it rules that defeated the monks from becoming a monk. So now there are many other questions that people think, why can a monk marry? Can a monk marry? Yeah, or can a monk, let's say, perform certain actions? So we know that the Buddha advice is that even to touch another, the monk also, I mean the Buddha actually advised not to. We have to practice restraint. So and more so nowadays, if you have different cultures or tradition that people practice, that can bring some misunderstanding. Yeah, but in reality, as a monk or nuns, we are not supposed to show those kind of behavior that lead to misunderstanding and lead to that kind of perception. Yeah, for example, it is now because people have video recorder and they can show you very clearly what happened, and so that's why this is to be avoided as a monk or nun. Yeah, in public, whether in public or in private. Yeah, the Buddha said we have to be very mindful of our behavior and actions. So to show some actions that may cause misunderstanding, it's best to be avoided by restraint, right? So so this may bring, like we said, the Vinaya rules is to help us to lead away from defilements. Yeah, and so if we practice well, restraint, then it won't cause misunderstanding. Yeah, and so that's why even for touching each other or whatever, it is a rule that we have to practice to restrain. Yeah, because it can cause misunderstanding. Like for example, certain action that are some, we say, okay, like there are occasions that first time I was like innocent. Yeah, and so when we attend certain function where there is minister, and the minister is a male one, right? So last time, beginners, we are not very alert. Yeah, so suddenly they push their hand to shake your hand already. So what can you do? Let's say we are none. Yeah. So at the first time, yeah, I was like, okay, what to do now? This is our precept that we should not touch a male, right? And so at that moment, yeah, the minister already put a hand out. Yeah, and that is a culture, right? As to show friendliness or to respect you. So first time, no choice. I put my hand out. Okay, quickly shake and then finish the story, right? Next time I become more aware already. So before they put their hand out, I put my Anjali out first. So when I put my Anjali out, they also put their Anjali to me. So I don't have to touch their hand. All right. So these are some learning, but we should not jump too quickly. Yeah? Like, oh, they go in the Vinaya rules is like this, and then you do that. But I think on that occasion, like I said, we also leave it to. But I think the Dalai Lama actually apologized, right? And so he may not think that earlier, maybe it's their culture or whatever, we do not know. But he apologized for that. So I think we should accept. He know that that probably not to be done in the public, although he didn't mean any unwholesome thing, but that action can cause misunderstanding. So it's best to restrain. Yeah. All right. I hope I answer your question.
Yes, thank you, Ayya. Sorry, I mean no harm because like I keep on searching for the answer. Dalai Lama would have practiced well all those Eightfold path, right? And would have known all those 221. So yet he can slip on, this kind of misconduct or inappropriate act. So just want to know, but I think you have explained well because we sometimes really need to put up a refrain on our daily conduction. Yeah.
All right. So I hope that this 4 session of Noble Eightfold Path have given you all some introspection. Yeah? And like I said the other time that I try to highlight the areas that you all need to dwell more so that you all can actually really go into it. Yeah? It's a very beautiful path beautiful in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end. So here also, I'd like to hear a little bit of feedback from you all, maybe a short one. Feedbacks from you all. What do you think you have learned from the 4 sessions? And what are the areas that maybe you would like to learn under Noble Eightfold Path? Can everyone just give a little bit of feedback?
So any feedback?
Yeah, I maybe start first. This is easy.
Okay.
Yeah. Through these 4 sessions itself, I am more aware on what I'm doing as myself, the non-self and self, because sometimes it's very fearful to see myself like that when the Dhamma is like that. You see, so it's like it really coming to you at the split second. How should you respond? I think that will be the most challenging part, and I find it can respond it better now, even clearer as to see the view itself and the non-self and the self itself, which is the real and which is just the thinking, which is the real present right view, and which is the thinking of the view, because thinking is very default. So this is where I take time to ask myself before I respond. Of course, it's not perfect, and I'm still cultivating it.
Thank you, Ivy. Yeah.
I'd like to say a few words.
Yes.
Okay. When I start joining this class, there are instances like it will pause me on my thinking before an action will happen. It's like deja vu. The thing will come in your mind, and then the next day it happened. So I do not know whether it's a subconscious mental states that really make me wake up, before saying the wrong word or doing the wrong action. So from this training, my subconscious mind is constantly working at the back. And I have a question: could it be a motor running at the back first, or I would be thinking too much, since I'm doing this reading a lot on the suttas, and this consciousness is developing. So I'd like to share on this. It's a good reminder for me, constantly being mindful in the work, in the daily life, and also daily action, speech and action. But the subconscious mind is keep rolling. So how, I know it's not a question and answer, how can we stop it? Or is a reality, or I'm thinking too much? That's my question.
I think it's Susan Young, your feedback is that you're more conscious, and that is important. Maybe the last time is the unconscious mind is more strong. Now your conscious mind is stronger, so that it overpower your unconscious mind. Yeah. So when it's unconscious, then it appears into your action without you knowing, because it's already manifesting. But now, when they are conscious, then the unconscious unwholesomeness are kept at bay, because you consciously choose to do what is wholesome, and before the unwholesome thoughts manifest into speech or bodily action, you already nab it from behind. Yeah. So consciously, you won't miss your right effort to abandon the unwholesome. It is being practiced there. So you're consciously doing something wholesome. So that is good. Yeah. So keep to that. Yeah. So as long as a Noble Eightfold Path become the yardstick, yeah. So you know that you are guided. You are guided also, right? And you can practice that continuously. So it become next time an auto mode. Yeah, auto mode in the sense that even any unwholesome state want to come up very quickly, it will be napped and kept aside. So they won't have chance to come up. So if it continues to do the wholesome one, then they become momentous and they become powerful, and that can sustain your wholesome conscious mind. Right? Unmute, huh? Unmute.
Anyone wish to share? We are now 4:15 already. Ayya, you have another appointment 4:30, yeah?
So still got time, 10 minutes more.
Yes.
Thank you, Ayya. Sorry. Thank you, Ayya.
Yeah, I'm Yo here. Yeah, I am very thankful and blessed to attend this session, and I think I have a bit of enlightenment that that you have given me. Like just now you say the Eightfold Path doesn't start from Sila, Samadhi, Panya. It can go the other way around, right? From right views and thoughts. So I think I get enlightened a bit, but still, I still have to. A lot of times I am still like auto mode, unconsciously, and think of unwholesome before like somebody scold me. So I just in the spite of second I will like want to really retaliate. But at times I was thinking, I will stop and pause for a moment that why should I get angry? I ask myself, why should I get? Is it that I have to get angry? That moment makes me cool down a bit, but I need to practice it more often. Like you say, there's always the unconscious mind that overpowers my consciousness. So I think I still have a lot to learn. But anyway, thank you for all this session and for all your sharing. And may you all be well, happy, healthy, and blessed. And I hope that I will be able to practice the wholesome thought better and slow down myself. Because I'm an anxious person since those days. It's habitual already. Anyway, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cecilia.
Yeah.
So hopefully, like I say, because now you're more conscious of the unconscious mind that you know that is unwholesome, and you're making effort. Again, it's the right effort now to overcome it by being what you practice is good. At least you pause and ask yourself, do I need to be angry? And because of that, that gap helps you to restore your mindfulness and clarity of mind, to choose what is wholesome instead what is unwholesome. And you choose the wholesome one. I don't have to get angry. Right? And then from there, that is already a win, I mean, 1 point gain. Last time maybe 100 times lost, now already less 1. So it's 99. The more you do, then less and less. So you have to give yourself a pat, but consistently cultivate, and that you have done something good to improve, to reduce your suffering and the suffering of others. Right? So one day you keep working on it, then one day you realize, 100 gone. Now you are always smiling, facial also change.
I hope I will sustain it. I pray that and hope that it will keep on sustaining. I scared that I will fall back the other way around.
Don't pray and don't think. Do it. You do it, then it will go by doing so. Like the Buddha mentioned about the hen. If the hen lay eggs, 8 or 12 eggs, the Buddha said, and if the hen correctly sit on the egg and incubate the egg, the hen don't have to think, may this eggs break and the chick come out, or may the chick, use the beak to break the egg. Means the hen no need to think. As long as the hen sit correctly on the eggs and incubated it, then the chick will come out. Right? So they will hatch, when the time comes. So meaning you just keep practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing correctly. Okay? Then your awakening, your enlightening mind will develop. Day by day. All right?
Thank you, Ayya, for your support.
You must do it, practice. Right?
Yeah. Thank you for your motivation, Ayya. May you be happy, healthy, and blessed.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry. So one last one, feedback. Anyone? If no one, then we can end with the sharing of merits then. Right?
Mr. Jana, sharing of merit slide.
First, we would like to thank Venerable Sumangala for such invaluable Dhamma sharing, and understand there's 4 sessions and this will be the last session for this module, correct? So thank you very much, Ayya Sumangala. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.